Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. You know the drill. You send us your sources, we dive in, pull out the good stuff, and try to make sense of it all for you.
Yeah, connecting those dots.
Exactly. And today, we're looking at something I think pretty much everyone struggles with, right? Just the sheer amount of thoughts swirling around and how to maybe bring a bit of order to it all.
It's that internal chaos sometimes. We looked at the info you sent about Lestallion's journal notebook for organizing thoughts.
Ah, Lestallion. Yeah, I know them. They make some really nice notebooks, high quality stuff.
They really do. And we're going to explore why their specific approach, the features they build in, are actually quite effective for, getting that mental clarity, maybe boosting productivity just by using a dedicated journal.
Yeah, because that feeling is so familiar, isn't it? Like your brain is just full work stuff, personal life, maybe creative ideas popping up.
It's a lot.
It really is. Like having 50 browser tabs open in your head. You just need a way to close them down, organize the important ones.
That's a great way to put it. And that's really where this idea of a dedicated journal comes into play. Specifically one designed, for organizing thoughts.
Right.
Lestallion even asks in their materials something like, looking for a way to keep thoughts organized and productive. And they say, basically, this kind of journal can help. It's about giving those fleeting ideas a place to land.
Okay, so one thing Lestallion talks about is their paper quality, which maybe sounds like a small thing,
Uh-huh.
but I've definitely used cheap notebooks, and it's just not pleasant.
Yeah.
Ink bleeds, it feels scratchy. Lestallion's paper is usually really smooth. Why is that actually important for, like, organizing your brain?
Well, it's interesting. There's a bit of psychology there, I think. When the tool itself feels good to use smooth paper, nice pen if it feels sound, it makes the act of writing feel more deliberate.
Yeah.
Valuable, maybe?
Less of a chore.
Exactly. If it's frustrating to write, if the ink feathers or the pen skips, you're just less likely to stick with it, aren't you? Especially if your mind already feels cluttered. You don't need more friction.
That makes sense. Okay, so beyond the paper, they have some clever features. The built-in table of contents, that one jumped out at me immediately. How does that help organize thoughts?
So the table of contents, think of it like a map for your own mind. You decide up front, okay, this section is for Project X. This part is for personal goals. This is for random ideas. You note it down.
Uh-huh.
You're imposing structure right from the start. It lets you categorize things and, crucially, find them again later without reading the whole notebook. It's about being intentional with your thoughts.
Right, finding that specific note later, which leads to the numbered pages. Seems basic, but I can totally see the value. I've wasted so much time flipping through old notebooks.
Oh, absolutely. Numbered pages are, well, fundamental if you want to create a reference system.
Okay.
You can make notes like, see page 42 for the meeting notes, right in your table of contents, or even in another entry. It turns the journal from just a list of thoughts into something more like a searchable database of your thinking. Makes past ideas useful again.
Accessible and actionable. I like that.
Right.
And Lestallion offers them in A5 size, which seems pretty practical.
Yeah.
Not too big, not too small.
Yeah, it's a good balance. Enough writing space, but still portable.
And they have different covers too, right? Like the soft cover Airajwa Ash Gray Black you mentioned, or a hardback like the black faux leather one.
Exactly. And that choice matters because, again, it's a personal tool. Do you need something rugged for travel? A hardcover might be better, just for beside the bed, maybe a soft cover. It's about making it fit your routine.
Making it easy to actually use.
Right. So it doesn't become just another thing you bought and didn't use.
You know, hearing about these features, it makes me think of a friend. Let's call her Sarah. She's a graphic designer, super creative.
Okay.
But, oh man, she used to struggle keeping track of ideas,
Yeah.
notes on napkins, sketches in 5 different pads, emails to herself. It was chaos. Drove her crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine. That sounds pretty typical for creative sometimes. What did she do?
Well, she ended up getting a Lestallion journal. I think it was that black hardcover one. She was
Okay.
skeptical at first, just another notebook. So the idea of one place for project thoughts appealed to her. And what really clicked were the numbered pages and the table of contents.
Ah, okay. How did she use them?
So for each new project, she'd block out a few pages, write down the client brief, initial thoughts, deadlines, and log that in the table of contents. Then, as she sketched or brainstormed later, she'd jot down page numbers, referencing back to those initial notes.
Oh, interesting. So she was creating her own kind of index as she went.
Exactly. She said being able to quickly find, like, That specific color code the client mentioned weeks ago, just by checking her contents page or a note she made, it saved so much time, less mental clutter. She even started giving each client their own section marked in the table of contents. It became her project command center. And she mentioned the paper too, said even rough sketches felt a bit more solid, more considered.
That's a fantastic example. It shows how these aren't just features on a list. They become real tools that people adapt to how they work. They help manage complexity.
Totally. Okay, so stepping back a bit from Lestallion specifically,
Yeah.
what are the bigger benefits? Just using any journal to try and organize your thoughts. What's the magic there?
Well, zooming out, the act of journaling itself, like the practice, has some really significant upsides for mental organization. It's not just about writing stuff down.
Right.
It's a process.
Yeah.
It can lead to more mental clarity, better focus. It can genuinely boost productivity, even creativity.
How does just, pen on paper do all that?
So the physical act of writing, it actually engages your brain differently than typing or just thinking. It's slower, more deliberate. When you write a thought down, you're essentially pulling it out of that mental swirl.
Yeah.
You're externalizing it,
Yeah.
giving it form.
Getting it out of your head.
Exactly. You're offloading that cognitive load. It
Yeah.
frees up mental bandwidth, letting you think more clearly about other things. It's like decluttering your mental desktop.
Okay, decluttering the mental desktop. I like that. And the Lestallion info mentioned tracking progress. How does a journal help with that?
Because it becomes a record, right? A tangible history of your thinking, your projects, your goals. By writing things down regularly, especially with things like numbered pages, making it easy to look back, you can actually see how ideas developed or how far you've come on a goal. You can spot patterns, maybe see where you got stuck before. It gives you perspective.
Yeah, that perspective can be really motivating
Wonderful.
or just illuminating.
Definitely. And it's like having this personal archive of your own mind's journey.
I also imagine just the act of writing, reflecting, it could be good for stress, cathartic.
Oh, absolutely. That's a huge benefit. Journaling can be a really powerful way to process emotions. Getting frustrations, joys, worries down on paper provides a healthy outlet.
Instead of letting them just cycle around in your head.
Precisely. It can reduce stress, build resilience, and even that little back pocket feature Lestallion includes. Maybe you tuck a note or a reminder in there that sparks reflection later. It's all part of creating that reflective space.
Okay, so let's say someone's listening and they're thinking, all right, I'm convinced I need to try this. What are some effective ways to actually use a journal, maybe like a Lestallion one, to get organized? Any strategies?
Yeah, definitely. One really solid approach is to create distinct sections. Use that table of contents right at the start.
Okay.
Maybe a section for work tasks, one for personal goals, one for creative sparks, maybe just daily thoughts. Structure helps organize the input.
Compartmentalizing. Makes sense.
Right.
What if you just stare at the blank page, though? Like, where do I even start?
That happens. Prompts are great for that. You can find tons online or just make your own. Simple things like, what are my top 3 priorities today? Or what's blocking me on project Y? Even with just standard line pages like in some Lestallion soft covers, these prompts give you a starting point, a focus.
And I guess doing it regularly is key, not just when you feel overwhelmed.
Consistency is huge.
Right.
Even just 5 or 10 minutes a day, it builds a habit, keeps the mental clutter from piling up. You process things more in real time.
Right, staying ahead of it.
Yeah. And it's not just about writing, it's also revisiting that track progress idea we talked about.
Look back.
Exactly. Look back, see what you wrote last week, last month. Are you moving forward? Do you need to adjust? Those numbered pages and table of contents make that review process so much easier.
Okay.
And finally, really lean into that reflect and release aspect. Use the journal to genuinely process stuff, not just list tasks. That's where a lot of the stress reduction comes from.
The Lestallion info also mentioned using journals for goal setting specifically. How does that work? How can the notebook help you achieve things?
Well, a journal's like a bridge, really, between wanting something and doing something. First step, write the goal down, clearly, maybe with a deadline.
Makes it real.
It does. It feels more concrete, more accountable. Then the journal becomes your workspace for that goal.
How so?
You break it down. Big goal becomes smaller steps. You list the actions needed. Maybe you use the lined pages in a Lestallion to outline your plan. Assign mini deadlines.
Ah, okay. Action planning.
Exactly. And then you use it to track your progress. Did you do the thing you planned for Tuesday? What happened? What's next? Reviewing it regularly keeps you focused, motivated. It's your personal strategy doc.
Roadmap and logbook. Got it. This reminds me of my uncle, Uncle David, retired teacher, For years, he talked about writing a book.
Oh, yeah. A common dream.
Totally. But it always felt huge, vague. Then, maybe 2 years ago, he got a journal, one of those Lestallion soft covers. He liked that it was light,
Okay.
and he just started jotting ideas, chapter thoughts, character bits, nothing formal. But what he said really helped was using the numbered pages.
Ah, interesting. How?
As ideas grew, he'd refer back. Idea on page 12 connects to this new thought. He'd make little notes. It let him link things together, build structure organically, even if the thoughts came out of order.
That's brilliant. Using a simple feature to manage a complex, nonlinear process like writing.
Yeah. And he started using the table of contents too eventually, like sections for plot, characters, research. He said having it all in one physical place, not scattered across files, made it feel less daunting,
Mhm.
helped him finally chip away at it. And guess what? He actually finished a first draft last month.
Hey, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's a perfect story of how these tools, used intentionally, can turn a big dream into something real.
Right. Okay, so let's wrap this up. Bringing it back to Lestallion journals specifically,
Yeah.
what's the main takeaway for someone trying to organize their thoughts, maybe get more productive?
I think the core message is that Lestallion really focuses on creating an optimal environment for thought organization. It starts with the quality that nice paper makes you want to write.
Uh-huh.
Then you have the smart features, the table of contents, the numbered pages. These aren't gimmicks. They're practical tools for structuring information, finding it again, tracking progress. Even things like the different sizes and covers, the back pocket. It all adds up to a tool that feels personal and supportive, helping you bring clarity and control to that busy mind.
A conducive space, basically.
Exactly. A conducive space for thinking clearly.
Okay. So, as you've been listening today, maybe think about this. Where in your life or what project feels the most mentally cluttered right now? Just pick one area.
Hmm.
Could actually dedicating a physical space for those thoughts, maybe using a tool like a Lestallion journal with those features we talked about, could that be the thing that helps unlock some clarity
Right.
or boost your progress or just bring a little more calm?
It's definitely something to consider.
Yeah. How could intentionally structuring those thoughts on paper maybe open up possibilities you haven't even thought of yet? Worth pondering.